up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Jada here, back with another video. And today we're going to be diving into the TV show The Other Black Girl. So it's described as an American comedy drama mystery thriller, and it's a TV series based on the novel under the same name by Zakiya Dalila Harris, and it premiered on Hulu back in September of last year, 2023. Now, I'm just going to quickly go into the cast. We have Sinclair Danielle as Nella, Ashley Murray as Hazel, Brittany Adem-Dumula as Malika, Hunter Parrish as Owen, Bellamy Young as Vera, who I've also seen in Scandal. And we also had Eric McCormick as Richard Wagner and Garcelle Bouvet as Diana. Now, if I botched her last name, I do apologize, but I remember seeing her on quite a few TV shows in the past already, but I just can't remember their names at the moment. But I have seen her in quite a lot of stuff. Now, I'm just gonna read really quickly the plot. Now, even though this does do a really good job summarizing the whole TV show, I'm still going to go into some detail with regards to what transpired and what I would like to discuss as well. Nella Rogers is an editorial assistant at Wagner Books, a publishing house in New York City. As the only Black woman working for the company, she feels lonely, undervalued, and marginalized. Nella is excited when Wagner hires Hazel Mae McCall, another Black woman, and the two quickly bond and become friends. Shortly thereafter, Nella receives a mysterious message instructing her to leave Wagner Books. Cracks form in Nella and Hazel's friendship after Hazel's advice gets Nella in trouble with her boss, and Wagner's employees begin showing favoritism towards Hazel. This makes Nella question whether Hazel is purposely sabotaging her in order to advance herself. Eventually, Nella begins uncovering Wagner's dark history and sinister secrets. So let's get into it after hearing all that. Now, Nella, I feel, was very vulnerable because of obviously how she's described. I think she feels very undervalued and like people aren't really paying attention to her and what she could actually do talent-wise and what she brings to the table. And I think also with her being the only Black person, it seems, at the company, I could definitely understand why she would feel very lonely and that people don't really understand her. Now, obviously, you know, one of the other editors there, they hire Hazel as their assistant, and they do bond pretty quickly because she's finally another Black girl at the company. And I think they also had this book that they really liked. So they had that in common as well. But yeah, things got really questionable a little soon in their story because, like I said already in that plot, she kind of pushes, in a way, Nella to kind of speak up for herself. And it just seems as though it was kind of ill-advised. But at the same time, I do have to say that with Nella, she kind of misread the moment as well. Like, that probably wasn't the appropriate time to speak out because this was one of Wagner Books, I guess one of their best-selling authors. And he has been making a lot of money for a number of years and one of their star clients. But he, in his recent book that Nella was kind of responsible for reading over for her boss, Vera, she kind of realizes that there was a lot going on with a particular character in the book that was very stereotypically done, and it wasn't the best representation of a Black woman. So obviously, being a Black woman herself, Nella feels the need to say something, but she wasn't really sure how to say it and if she should even talk about it. I think obviously bringing that up to Hazel was just kind of like, you know, I got your back. You know, if you want to say something, I got your back. I feel like you should like open up about your thoughts about this character. And she just kind of leaves Nella out to dry and uses that as an opportunity to get in good with everybody at the company. So yeah, it was very questionable, but Hazel does apologize and she's just like, well, I didn't really expect you to say anything at that moment, but you know, in the future I have your back. And it's just like, why would you believe her a second time, you know? But anyways, so Malika, Nella's friend before meeting Hazel, Malika thinks something is kind of off with Hazel, but Nella doesn't really want to see it or accept that because obviously this is the only other Black person at the company and they seem to be forming a bond. She just doesn't want to take that, right? But they both end up going over to Hazel's house. And I think that's where Malika kind of noticed something very off about the ladies that were there along with Hazel, because it was supposed to be some type of like party or something like that. And what becomes kind of strange is that Nella, she's sitting on the ground and Hazel is going to grease her scalp, and that's when the music gets all intense, and it's making me question as a viewer, is this some type of like mind control grease? Like what is going on here with this grease? So Nella, shortly after this, because Malika had ended up coming at just the right moment where Hazel hadn't put the grease on Nella's scalp, I guess, to mind control her, so they end up leaving just in time. Shortly after that is when Nella ends up meeting Diana, and she'd actually wrote one of Nella's favorite books. So Nella is so busy fangirling and all that stuff over Diana. During this time, she's also getting these mysterious letters from this person, basically just warning her about Diana and Wagner books just in general. So apparently the company's last black female editor, Kendra Ray Phillips, was Diana's friend, and she ends up going a bit nuts, at least based on what everyone else has said about her leading up to her disappearance. So the question is, why did she go nuts? Right. So she ended up disappearing, like I said, and people hadn't seen her in years. And this mysterious person eventually gets kidnapped and brainwashed as well. So Nella never ends up meeting with her and getting any information with regards to Hazel, but basically she just kind of knows that there's something up with Hazel. And there's also a scene where Hazel is outside of Nella's apartment watching her from outside, and it's hella creepy. So Malika and Nella go back to Hazel's house, and she finds documents of basically Hazel trying to change these women and make them into her projects. So she has a lot of before and after pictures of these women, kind of documenting over a period of time of mind controlling them, I guess, in a way, and making them do certain things. I don't know. It's kind of strange. I still don't really understand fully what's going on here and their operation. But Nella gets a bad feeling about Hazel after she gets her boss Vera fired, and she's happy about the upgrade in terms of her job, but she's questioning things after they happen. And Mr. Wagner is also kind of weird, and Nella decides to eventually tell Diana about what she thinks is going on, but come to find out, this whole time Diana was the evil mastermind behind everything. So Wagner is pretty much just the person that was there to execute the plan. Now, Malika had ended up going to Vera to get more information, and she found out that Diana was actually Mr. Wagner's side piece and had been for some years. I think he's even still married at this point. But before Malika could get to tell Nella any information to warn her about Diana, she gets hit by a car. And believe it or not, the person driving was the person that was giving Nella all the mysterious notes to warn them about Wagner, but she ends up getting kidnapped and brainwashed. So anyway, before she could warn her about Diana, Nella had told Diana about the whole Wagner thing that she thought she had figured out, but come to find out Diana was the one pulling all the strings. So Malika gets hit by a car, but like I mentioned, shortly after all of this is when Nella finds out that everyone was in on this, and they kind of make her look like she's the crazy one, and she eventually gets taken by Diana and Hazel's little henchmen. But before they use their mind control grease on her, Kendra Ray comes in out of nowhere and rescues her, so to speak. But thankfully her friend Malika is also okay, but now they kind of formulate a plan for Nella to kind of go back to try and bring down the whole operation from within. But what exactly is this operation is my question. I am still kind of confused about it. And how exactly are you planning on bringing it down when we still don't really understand what it even is? Like, that's my next logical question. So it's an interesting storyline, but I'm still trying to get it. It seems like it's something that could pan out into something very entertaining and very kind of engrossing for me as a viewer, but I just have a lot of questions. Like, who is actually controlling them? Is it Diana or the corporations, you know, that these women work for? Like, who is actually pulling strings here. So what is the overall objective is my question, and I'm hoping to get a lot of answers to that question in season 2 because I was still very confused with this show even up to the end. So y'all could let me know. Obviously I would have hoped you probably watched this show before listening to my recap, but yeah, I just have so many questions and thoughts that I'm like, yeah, I don't get it. So y'all can let me know what you're thinking of this show down in the comments, and I'm not entirely sure if there even is a season 2 in the works. I haven't really read much about it, but y'all can let me know. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.